Aloha mai kako, everyone. Tonight we're actually starting a brand new episode for everyone. This will be a quarterly episode with our sponsor Papa Ola Lōkahi. We're going to be exploring a number of new topics, and you guys will be getting to know the team and also some of the community members and organizations that they work with. So tonight we are featuring the Mauli Ola Malama Hale. And we will be joined tonight by two awesome new friends that we met a couple months ago when we were in Hawaii for the conference. So our first guest is Lisa Kānoe. She is the workforce development lead, and she'll be moderating and leading our conversation tonight. And then we'll also be joined by Conan Wykes. He is a program specialist for this particular hale, and he will be representing for the Kāne tonight. It's been a while since we have done some Kāne focused content, and so I think it's really important to hear that perspective of our community. I think, like many other Indigenous communities, our Kāne are busy protecting and making sure families are taken care of, and so they just grind, put their head down, and get the work done. But it's important for us to understand their perspectives, the things that they're going through, and just give them a chance to share their aloha for the community and the way that that manifests for all of us. So I am excited to have them both on tonight, and I'm going to hand it over to Lisa to take it away. Mahalo for being with us, you guys.
All right. Mahalo. What a great intro. I don't feel like I have to add much more to that, but just to clarify, yes, we are both work at Papa Ola Lōkahi, and she did say Mauli Ola Malama Lama, which is our department, and that is just our Hawaiian name for our department, which is workforce development. So yeah, thanks for joining us. And I guess, why are we talking about Kāne and workforce? Kāne voices and conversations about work and legacy. And my answer is, why not? Right? We all have to grind and work and get to where we are. And sometimes we end up in places that, for example, Hawaii is expensive, and sometimes we have to look for jobs elsewhere on the continent, right? So that's part of our working journey. So taking a deeper look, drill down a little bit to actually find out from a Kāne what it takes to work and live in Hawaii. And I'm going to go ahead and, Conan, I'm going to start with the local kind questions. You know what I'm going to ask: where you from, what school you went. So go for it.
Aloha, everyone. Yeah, my name is Conan Wykes, and I grew up in the Hawaiian homesteads in Moana. It's a beautiful area. If everybody's curious about it, it's on the east coast of Oahu, and the Hawaiian homesteads are land that's been set aside for Hawaiian ancestral people. But yeah, it was a really great upbringing and close family ties. Very big church people, religious people. So we did a lot of activities together growing up. Of course, a lot of church functions and fellowshipping with other churches here on Oahu, and a lot of like camping and just getting together like Hawaiians usually do. Although a lot of church people, that doesn't mean that my family doesn't like to let loose as well. So typical Hawaiians like to, I went to school there. I went to to Blanche Pope School in the homesteads. I went to Waimanala Intermediate and then on to Kailua. I ended up actually going to 3 high schools here on Oahu. I spent most of my time in the Mililani High School, and then we moved into what we call town right in Honolulu just before my senior year, so for graduating high school.
Mahalo. Wow. When did you start working? Like, some of us started working their first jobs in high school. Is that what happened?
Oh yeah. My mom told me I was about 15 years old, and she told me, if you want anything, if you want money, then you need to start going to work. And so I did, because I wanted money and I wanted to buy clothes. And so yeah, I got a job. I think I was about 15. I just started my sophomore year, and I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, it was a kind of brutal job. It's very laborious, and you have to clean those fryers out every night, and it's dangerous too. So I don't know why they had me doing it. But yeah, that was my first job. And then soon after my first paycheck, my mom told me I can start paying the phone bills so to contribute to the household. So yeah, that's how it was.
And so how long did you work at KFC for?
I wasn't there very long. I think I was there like about 6 months. And then I really did not enjoy the job. So I left. And I think just as when we moved into town, just a few months later, I ended up getting a job at Zippy's. And if most local people know Zippy's, and I think Zippy's is on the continent in a couple of places. So yeah, I was working at Zippy's because I actually went there because they're offering a better wage than what the minimum wage was at that time. So that was really the impetus behind why I applied at Zippy's. And then I worked there for like, I would say about a year, and found out that Liberty House were looking for seasonal hires. And I liked clothes, and I thought it would be a good way to hang out at the mall and meet people. But yeah, it was a fun job, and all my money went right back to Liberty House.
I miss Liberty House. That brings back memories.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I miss Liberty House too. They had great services for their customers, which Macy's does not do any longer.
Which one did you work at?
I worked at the Moana location. Yeah, the big one. Yeah, it was. I was pretty popular. Just when girls would ask me, would find out that I worked at Liberty House, they want discounts and they want to know if you can hook them up. But yeah. And really, a lot of my money went right back to them, especially that seasonal. When I got hired as a seasonal hire, the discounts, your discount goes upon the discount. So, yeah, all my paycheck would go right back to Liberty House usually. But it was fun.
And then what about after that? So at this point, were you like a junior or senior?
Oh, so I was a senior, and then I worked at Liberty House until I just graduated. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine actually, who moved to Japan, got married to a Japanese girl, but he had experience working in a restaurant industry. He already was working in a restaurant previously, and he had told me of an opportunity of a new restaurant that was just opening. Well, actually, yeah, that didn't even, they were doing hiring, but they still were at the nuts and bolts stage. And that was Palomino Euro Bistro at Harbor Car. That's
another one. I miss Palomino's.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place. It was a great experience. And they hired me. I had no experience. I went down there and applied, and they hired me. I'm pretty sure they hired me just because I was young and fit, and bussers need to be young and fit so they can run around and pool plates and do all of that stuff. But yeah, it was a really great experience, and being in that environment really created this awareness of like hospitality and that industry, which growing up I was never really aware of because we didn't go to those types of places. We couldn't afford them, and so we eat at home a lot. And maybe Chinese food, once in a while. Years ago, Chinese food for every birthday. So yeah, it was really awesome learning about the industry, the food, learning about wine, learning about service and the details that really go into like fine dining. So yeah, it was really exciting.
Wow. When I was in high school, I think I only had one job, and that was Wendy's. So at this point, you've already had like 3 jobs, right? You've already gone into KFC, then you went to Liberty House, and then you went into finer dining, into Palomino's. And so what happened after that? Like, so at this point, you decided to stay in the restaurant industry, or how did that?
Yeah, I mean, I realized that I could take care of myself. And I guess that's always been part of my mother's teachings to us, is to be able to take care of ourselves, to be independent. And I found out, yeah, it can be lucrative in the restaurant industry. And so, and I was very interested in it, and I liked talking to people, meeting people. I worked in Waikiki for many years, and deal with a lot of tourists, and the tourists seem, a lot of them are very nice people. They are very interested in learning about who you are, and about the islands. And then you can make pretty good money and pay rent and survive here in the islands. And so, yeah, I ended up staying in it for a number of years. About 20
How many
years.
years?
Yeah,
About 20 years you're in the
about 20
restaurant
years.
industry.
Yeah, about 20 years approximately. I at one time for about a year I did front desk work for a hotel chain, and quickly realized that was not only what I did not want to do, but I wasn't making money. So I ended up returning to the restaurant industry, and I think for a long time, yeah. I was working in more fine dining environments for a long time. Yeah. So you can make money that way.
So that was right out of high school, already starting working, already got the work ethic going. And then, so the pandemic came, right? And then they closed a lot of restaurants. So then what happened?
Oh, yeah. I think most, if not all, not 100% sure about that, but of restaurants here on Oahu were shuttered. So in that interval, approximately 20 years of working, I did attempt to do school a couple of times. And I just, that's one skill that I needed to really build up. I didn't have those foundational school skills to be successful in it. So the pandemic, yeah, hits all of us, and the restaurants shutter. And we all had extra time. A lot of people had extra time on their hands, and my girlfriend, she asked and encouraged me to complete the goal of education, of going back to school. And so, and I think a big thing too, a big reason too, was when they shuttered all the restaurants. There's people like me, a lot of people that they considered non-essential, and I just really disliked that label of being non-essential. So I definitely knew that I needed a change of career moving forward in my life. So I apply to KCC, go to KCC and Kapiolani Community College up at Diamond Head. And my original goal was, because my mindset is still just work. And so it was really just to get an associate's and get back to the workforce and see what can happen out of that. And by the 2 years, in that 2 years I was there, and by the end of that, I realized that I wanted to further my education, that it wasn't finished. And so I spoke with a mentor to figure out what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to do something for me personally. I wanted to do something in the health field. And he talked to me and told me about public health. And I did some research, and I really enjoyed it. Public health is vast, and it's like everything. So you can find a niche of what you wanted to do and what you want to do. And so I transferred to the University of Hawaii in Manoa, and I'm actually graduating this December with my bachelor's degree in public health.
Wow. So congratulations on that. So you went from being in the restaurant industry for 20 years, had some time on your hands, went back to school. Did you have like any doubts, like, gosh, applying to school is so different now, and going back as a non-traditional student, like as an older student? What was that dynamic? Like, was it easy to apply, or?
No, huge doubts. First of all, I didn't have much technological skills. Well, I'm still building those up. I didn't really use a computer. A funny story is that when I went back to KCC, I thought that I could use my smartphone to do all my work. I thought that was sufficient to do all of my work. And no, my girlfriend's like, no, so so learning to use a computer properly to do my work. And a huge fear if I was going to be able to actually get things done, because going off of my past experiences, and I guess somewhat like failures as well, but I perseverance and a strong desire and really a feeling inside me that I not only need to make a change, like a career change, but I need to make a life change as well. So I just stuck with it, just nose in the books, hours and hours taking math and science all over again at my age. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, a lot of studying, a lot of Khan Academy on YouTube. But what's been really great though, as I've been going through this journey, and I have met other Kāne, maybe not at my age, some older, some a little younger, but who also desire and wanted to go back to school. And one of the hugest barriers that I've come across is the age thing with a lot of these men, that there is a shame that they would feel being in the classroom with a lot of younger people. The technological part is a huge barrier as well, how everything is moved into that realm now. So everybody, you have to learn all those skills too. So age, I felt it too. I being in classrooms with people literally half my age, or they could be maybe my child, some of them, if I started early. Thank God I didn't. But it was very challenging, because in the beginning at KC, everything, it was still in the really midst of the pandemic, so everything had transitioned to online. And then by the time I was at UH, we started to transition back into the classrooms. And I remember the first day walking into my first public health class, and it was one of the I think introduction to public health, like 201 or something. So there was like 140 students in there, in this huge auditorium room, and they all looked like babies to me. I'm just like, they look so young, and I'm like, oh God. So there's definitely some hurdles to get over mentally and emotionally, but I think you just gotta keep your eyes on the prize. And so that's what's been getting me through, really.
That's awesome. So we do have a question. It kind of ties into what you just said. So what advice can you give fellow Kāne how to advocate for themselves, for their mental health?
Oh, that's a great question. Being Kāne, I think being Kanaka as well, we don't push for mental health as much as we should. I know in my family, we don't really talk about that a lot. There's a lot of services out there. I'm lucky because at UH Manoa, they actually offer student services from two different offices. A great one as well is our HMSA, maybe your own insurance companies. A lot of them are tying that into your insurance, so you can go and seek mental health services there. I personally, what I had done, I'm just going to tell you my personal thing, is that I made connections back to my culture. I felt a huge disconnection personally to my culture that was causing some mental struggles as well. I started to question my own Hawaiian-ness in a sense, which I never did growing up in the Hawaiian homesteads. But I started to ask, what does it mean to be Hawaiian? Not just blood, but I think it's how you carry yourself as well, and how you serve your community. And there are cultural values as well that do help you to find those connections again. I also put myself in a lot of spaces where I can work in the community. I've worked with some other organizations that put you into the lo'i, put you into the Moana, the ocean. And I made that connection to Ma'aina and to our Moʻolelos. Then that helped me advocate for myself, for my own mental health.
That's amazing, Conan. That's a great story. We do have some more comments. Chee-hoo! Show them what you're made of, Conan. You can be a mentor to some of your fellow Kāne and fellow students on so many things as you go to school, and I agree. So looking back at your 15-year-old self, when it was probably right, your mom is saying you need to, if you want stuff, you got to work for it. What advice would you give your 15-year-old self right now?
Ooh, I think the first one I definitely would say is do better in school. Do better in school, build those foundational skills, start thinking about college, higher education, and maybe don't hang out with some people that aren't the best. They're not really trying to lift you up. So I think those are the main ones. Really, is like try to do better in high school and start thinking about college. Those things weren't spoken about it in my household, so I like had zero thoughts of college or what I was going to do after school. So yeah, it was a bit of figuring it out as well. But luckily I was already working. So I figured you just keep working. Yeah, just keep working.
I find that interesting because of the state of the economy, right? Folks are wanting to get jobs as soon as they can to start paying for bills as soon as they can, right? So each person has their own journey, and whether they want to go to school or not and hold off on getting a job and continuing their education or start right off into the workforce right away. And so I find it interesting that you started off right away getting a job. And in most cases, some folks just don't look back and they keep going, right? Whether they move higher up or seek bigger opportunities. Like for example, I have a son that's going to UH Manoa, and he's also working part-time in the restaurant industry. So what advice would you give him, right, if he's, because he's doing both right away, right out of high school, whereas you just went into work. So he's trying to do both right now. Is there any advice you would give him?
Yeah, you have to find if he wants to do that, and if it's necessary for him to work. It's not really necessary for everybody, but if it is necessary to work, please stay in school, even if it's just part-time. Don't leave. Try to find balance within school and work. I've come to notice in my time in a restaurant and hospitality industry that a lot of the wait staff and management staff, there's always high turnover. Yeah, there's no shortage of people who can fit those positions. And I would ask him to find a balance, to advocate for himself that he is still going to school, that he is still a young man, and not allow himself to be taken advantage of maybe by the management staff or asking him to cover extra shifts or come in when they don't want to or stay later, which a lot of management, that's what they do. Yeah, you work a lot more hours, you make less money than the servers a lot of time, and all you do is manage complaints or from the staff or from the guests, or you babysitting a lot if it's like babysitting. So yeah, I don't know how enriching that can be over time. He's still very young, but it still can be very interesting and fun. Yeah. So, and at his age too, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was exciting as well. But the luster, it ends up fading after, and then you start to question. Yeah, I've been doing this for how long, and what is the next step? And usually there's not much other steps besides like management, general manager. But if that's what someone wants to do, then by all means, right? But there is, I think, bigger and better opportunities out there for our Kanaka Kāne.
Very nice. So another comment from Haoli Alika, right on, success has no age limit, never too old to strive. see another one. Chee-hoo, congrats. Let's see here from X. What do you recommend to empower older men that are trying to restart with a new career or a new journey in life?
Whew. That's a great question. Thanks, X. Everybody has to take my route. It really depends on what you wanted to do, what you want to do. Obviously, in my situation, I want to be in the health field. So you have to get educated. Yeah, you have to do these things, take these steps to get to that position or whatever your focus is or whatever the goal is. There are great other programs out there for other types of work to empower older men. I think overall, you just have to believe in yourself too. You have to really set a goal for yourself and be honest with yourself. And if that's really what you want to do, and if it's nagging at you every day, and if it's just like in here and in here as well, you have to answer the call. Otherwise, you're gonna be unhappy. And I think that's where this the position I was in. I felt that nagging at me for a long time, and it's like I got to get out of the restaurant industry. And so, yeah, you just got to believe in yourself, and having support is always great as well. Yeah, support is it. Nobody becomes successful by themselves.
So you really did reinvent yourself in a way during the pandemic, right? Created a lot of folks to reflect, and other folks also had to get laid off, right? So they had to figure out other ways to make ends meet, right? And it also forced folks to move to the continent to be with other family or find better paying jobs or finding more affordable housing, right? So not only just happens here, but it happens elsewhere, right? And so did you have siblings that kind of went through the same thing?
Oh, no, I do have siblings. I'm the youngest of three. But no, my sister has been on the continent for over 2 decades now. She works for a casino. She lives in Southern California. My brother did not experience the pandemic the same way I did. He wasn't in the hospitality industry. So, no, and I think my sister, I believe the casino did shut down. But being on the continent, I believe that they're getting some kind of wages as well, right? The unemployment and whatnot. But she's what you call a lifetime student. She was going to school for a very long time. Every semester you would talk to her. I was taking this class and this class. But she did graduate last year from social work. So went to go and visit her and celebrate her graduation with her. But no, I don't think they experienced it. And we're all very independent. So we're close, but we're not all up in each other's lives all the time. So no, everybody experienced it. There was, I think for everyone, there was similarities in the experience, and then there was great differences as well, right? Yeah.
So do you miss the restaurant industry at all?
I don't. I like going to restaurants. I enjoy food. I enjoy nice restaurants. Working in fine dining for a long time, I do enjoy that dining experience. Not all the time. I'll go get a plate lunch too, but I do enjoy those kind of atmospheres and the dining experience still. And I like to critique other servers. Watch them and critique them, and yeah, I'm one of those. Yeah, I'm a secret shopper. No, but yeah, I do that though. I do critique other people, not negatively, not to their face, but I always make mental notes about things, and so I guess it's just a habit I have already. Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that we can always ask you for recommendations to go eat. Oh, look at that. That's so funny. Oh, someone said congrats to your tita. And then the next one was, what are your top 10 restaurants on your island?
Really? Well, in the last over some time now, like over a decade or so, like 15 years, I worked at steakhouses. So I was working in the more like fine dining steakhouses here, Roots Chris and Wolfgang's and Waikiki. And then actually just before I started to work at Lisa, I was working at a steakhouse here in Kaka'ako. Yeah, so those are, I like steakhouses. I do think the prices of steak is astronomical and getting quite ludicrous. But there's some other great places. Et Al, I like Et Al a lot in Kahala. I like that new place, Mara on Kapiolani. Been there a few times. Yeah. I still like CPK. We go to CPK at Ala Moana once in a while. There's a few things that we like there. Yeah. But a lot of times I do just eat at home. You know, it's a lot cheaper, especially on a student budget. It's not cheap.
Nice. Where's the best place to get Hawaiian food?
Oh, geez. Oahu Grill on Wailai, I like a lot. There used to be Ono's, right? Ono's for how long? 50 years or something like that. Yeah. And then, but they went the way of the dinosaur. And that's unfortunate because they're awesome. Hiley's, yeah. And then right across the street here in Kaka'ako, we have Hawaiian, and that's another popular location as well. But I gotta say, I think I like Oahu Grill personally and Wailai best. Yeah.
Cool. Another comment from Brad Starks 001. Love this show. 100. So after you graduate, are you going to continue going on, or are you going to like take a break, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm already in the process. I'm going through the process of the application process for the clinical psychology department at Chaminade. I made the decision a few months ago. I think earlier this year, I was still thinking about the master's, the MPH in Indigenous and Native Hawaiian health. And after some really deep critical thinking, I made the decision, pulled the trigger to go and get my PsyD. Yeah, and so it's a process. Yeah, the application is just opened this month. So once you do that first initial application, then there's all these extra steps to do transcripts and letters of recommendation, and then there's an interview process. And yeah, so that's going to go on, and it finishes in January. It closes in January, and then as far as after graduating, continue to work with our organization. And I've applied for some research assistant opportunities in the community psychology department at Manoa to try and build a little more experience in the field that could help my application. And we take it from there. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, I haven't, hopefully I get in. That's another 5 years of schooling and then postdoc a year and a half. But yeah, just listening to my gut and answering the call and to serve our lahui, to serve our people.
That's awesome, Conan. What a great story. It's been fun interviewing you and putting you in the hot seat. This is a story to be continued, right? We'll have to stay in touch. Make sure you stay in touch with everybody. And another question is, what do you do to decompress?
Oh, I do a lot of things. I get exercise, and I try to jump in the water. I take walks with my girlfriend. Whenever she feels like walking. Yeah, I go to the gym. And to be honest with you, I watch a little TV. There's some shows that we really like, and we make time to stream a show that we like watching, and take an hour, decompress, and watch that. And then you can get back to work for a little bit.
Oh, another question. What's your favorite show at the moment?
Oh, the Rings of Power. It's the new Lord of the Rings on Prime Video. Yeah, I watched that, but we also watched the Only Murders in the Building. We like that show as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen that with Selena Gomez and Steve Martin.
Martin show. Yeah, we like that show. We watched it the last couple of seasons. So yeah, but really, I really enjoy that Lord of the Rings.
So I joke, a question just popped into my head. So you know how you transition from working in the service and restaurant industry to becoming a student. now going for after your bachelor's, still moving on, do you ever have anyone from like friends or family that are brother kind making fun of you, like, wow, look how smart you, and you going to school and all this, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Oh yeah. Growing up, I had a lot of low friends. Yeah, I was always interested in reading and things like that. So there was always you get teased for being smarter, which is strange when you think about it. But that's the culture, kind of. That's how kids are too with each other. Yeah. But yeah, I bumped into a lot of my friends, and I just recently saw an old friend of mine that I worked with in the restaurant industry, and he's now at the Embassy hotels here in Waikiki. But him and another friend of mine, they've been there for a while now. But yeah, he's blown away. He asked me, I guess we didn't really catch up. I see him like passing by a lot of times at the gym. I go, hey, how's it? And he asked me, so what restaurant are you at? I'm like, oh, I haven't worked at a restaurant for a while now. Yeah. And I told him, I said, oh, yeah, I don't know. No, I'm doing this right now. And yeah, a lot of, I think it almost blows up some people's heads. Like, they're like, what? Like, I don't know. I guess for some people it was unexpected. Or I never spoke about school before in the past either. So yeah, it's like to some people it comes as a big surprise. But
and then what about,
they're always very happy for me.
that's awesome. And then my other question too is like, what is their reaction when they're like, they learn that you're trying to learn more about your Hawaiian culture? Because how some people are like, oh, look, you Hawaiian. So like, do you get any of that?
Yeah, and no, because a lot of my friends are Hawaiian. So if I do say some Moʻolelo Hawaii, some like Hawaiian words, and it just goes into the conversation normally. But it's funny you bring that up because it was maybe about a year ago. My brother and I were driving out to my parents' home out in the Hawaiian homesteads in Kapolei, and all I did was translate the Hawaiian word to street name, and my brother went into this whole so he told me, he said, oh, I'm so into my culture now, which I was like, it's bewildering. Yeah, that people say that kind of stuff, that I'm so into my culture now. Growing up in a church, that it was an instrument of our disconnect with our culture. And he's still very tied to the church. So, but I found it bewildering, but also funny because I don't even remember what the word was. It wasn't like a 40-letter word. It was like something small. And I just said, oh, so and so. And yeah, he just was like blown away. I was like, so that goes to show you like how wide and deep the disconnect is.
Some of the trauma, right? That's passed down. Yeah, that makes sense. But no, this is a great story, great talk story session. And if there aren't any more questions or comments, I just want to let folks know that our next Kāne Voices episode is scheduled for December 6th. That one is going to actually be a panel of 2 Kāne, but this time Conan is going to interview them. We have one locked down, so he's actually a Kāne that is on the continent. And then we are actually trying to lock down another one that's actually here so that we can get the perspectives from both of those angles. But Conan, it was a pleasure. We can put this down in the books. And I look forward to the next episode, seeing you in my seat, asking all the questions. And mahalo for sharing everything today. It was really cool to hear it. So I will turn it back over to Dana and to Moana. Mahalo for having us.
Yeah.
Mahalo. Thank you so much to the both of you for having tonight's episode. Conan, thank you so much for being transparent and sharing so much, and especially for the fellow Kāne that are in the audience, that they can take some notes, especially if they're trying to figure out their own journey, because that tend to be a topic of discussion. Is a lot of Kānes keep so much inside, and they feel like I can't move forward because once you're past 25, you become old and you can't do nothing else. And it's just like breaking those stigmas. It's a lot of this current time is breaking those stigmas and changing it for our youth to know that it's never too late to do anything. Moana, do you have any last words?
Yeah, I just wanted to mahalo Conan and Lisa for tonight's episode. I can definitely relate to being the one who like started working early and then just never stopped.
Yeah.
It's just this is super hyper independence. Yes, independence is a good thing, but it can also be toxic if you don't know how to regulate. So I'm glad that you talked through that part too, because when I hear those things, I'm like, yeah, Monty, need to like dial it back a little bit. But that's why these conversations are so important for us to just talk about issues that I know, like in all of the different talk stories that we have on this podcast, what the theme that has come through is that there's a lot of people that say like, oh, I thought it was just me. And so I feel like this is why it's an important part of our mental health and making sure that we have these safe spaces to have these conversations and encourage and uplift each other, help each other. Like if we see people going off to the side, like bring them back. Dana does that a lot for me and vice versa. We do it for each other. Yeah, like give and take and malama the community, malama each other. And of course, with Papa'olo Lōkahi being the organization to uplift the health and well-being of Native Hawaiians, Dana and I are always honored to be a part of this ohana and to help continue foster this work for the community. So I'm really excited about your future episodes and getting the different Kāne perspectives from both in and outside of Hawaii. I think this is a place we've been wanting to explore. So having the partnership with you all is awesome. So we definitely want to thank you guys for that. And to all of the listeners who tuned in, yay, thank you guys for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed this first episode, the first of many. Give us your feedback. Like, let us know in the comments. After the show, you can also send us an email, moananuipodcast@gmail.com. If you have questions or topics that you would like us to explore on the podcast, we're always open to feedback. Let us know what you think. Tag us on social media. You know how to do all of that stuff. Yes. So with that said, we just want to mahalo everyone, wish everybody a happy Aloha Friday, and hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Yeah, Conan, we're going to go to Highway Inn now, yeah?
Yes! Let me get that.
Lunch is on you, brother.
I am hungry, and I owe her money now. Mahalo, guys. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Moana.
Aloha. You're welcome.
Aloha. Have a good weekend.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands. Without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Lōkahi as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Network out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.